Hi, my name is Eli Zen, and welcome to the Hidden Assets Script Choreography Breakdown. Starting from page number 17, the first encounter with Grady and Carter. That's at the Stephanie's house location, starting on the bottom half of the page. If you are not following along in the script yet, please, I suggest to go grab that and follow along in the script so that you can see and we're on the same page. I also have a lot of angles that I can suggest just for the fight scenes. I know that you're directing, but just for the fight scenes that that I think would look best for the the technique, so that you can really see what's happening and give it some five-dimensional look. Yes, and remember that I'm only covering what I thought really needed attention. Everybody still has the the upper hand or the control that you asked for. I'm just gonna liven up the parts that I thought could use a little depth, like to show the character build of both Riker and Grady on page 53. That's their first encounter. I just wanted to fatten up the fact that they're so talented and really zero in on who they are in the movie.
First encounter, when Carter walks into the kitchen and sees Grady, he spots him. Grady grabs him from behind, trying to get that napkin on him. Here goes Carter trying to protect himself against this napkin and being kidnapped. He runs him back into whatever behind him, which would happen during a natural scramble like this. He turns around with that elbow, boom, and hits him trying to get away. Here I come, right after him, he throws a wild right punch, in which case I'm going to cover with my left side, get under, showing the technique and the ability, wrapping my hand around here, meeting at the joint of the elbow, and there goes that napkin for the good night.
All right, if you're following along on the script, on page 52, towards the bottom, is the confrontation between Grady and Riker and Ava. So you're kind of standing here, and what happens is he's getting loose from the chair at this point, and he comes jumping on to Riker. I'm going to be playing Riker here. My friend Carl is going to be playing the part of Grady. So Grady's going to jump on both where we are, talking or whatever, depending on how the room is positioned. So here comes Grady jumping onto Riker. Riker gets knocked down, and Grady's trying to remain control of the knife. So you're trying to get the control of the room by controlling this knife. So here he is. He jumps on top of me for the knife. Okay, we go down. Ava, somewhere in the middle of this, she kind of gets up to run. Grady's telling her to run. Okay, now from here, he's trying to grab this gun. I, with ease, control, face him. Okay, and I start to get up, because any warrior is going to want to be on his feet. Okay, so here I go getting up technically as Grady starts to get up, and I think that the knife fight should start standing. So I'm going to start with a standing overhand technique. Any experienced knife holder is going to hold the knife facing downward at first for these line of strikes. Here he comes with the overhand. That's the technique that stops him. Okay, perfect. Now from here, there's this little bit of a struggle, in which case I win the strike, getting the upper hand coming behind his back. I'm going to be having the knife facing downward, getting help from this hand now, turning it back around and threatening to cut his neck here. He's going to grab control of the wrist and the elbow, Grady, as he ducks under to take my back. Okay, throwing me into any wall that might be there, in which case is where we're struggling here. If he's tied up on me, and I give him a foot stomp. Bang! From this foot stomp, I reverse into him, getting a little bit more space as he stays tight with this reverse heel kick. Spinning heel kick to his stomach. In which case I follow that momentum and the knife confidently behind him, where I deliver the knee strike. Boom! Okay, and then here this knife is in my hand, controlling him backwards, just like you asked in the script for the knife to end up on the chest. In which case I tell him, don't try it anymore, old man. Don't you ever try that again. I was going to say, to make a remark staining his character, because later on in the script you mentioned something about him saying, not bad for an old man. So when he has a confrontation with Drake later, So I thought that'd be a great place to tease him and say, don't try that again, old man, because later on in the script, Grady says to Riker in the room while he's backing down Drake, not bad for an old man. That builds that kind of substance between the two, right? I think that would work. Okay. So if you're following along on page 59, on the top of the page, it starts with a quick flash part with between Ava and Carter, and he's just going to be using a two-hand technique, overpowering Ava for the gun. Very smooth and simple, nothing too crazy. I'll demonstrate there, of course, since I'm going to be doing that. It's not going to be too much. On page 60 as well, there's a scramble between Drake and Grady, in which case that's also on top of page 60. I just wanted to substitute the gut strike for a groin strike, since they're already going to be facing that same position. I'll show you as well in person. Somewhere in between that whole thing, it's Grady getting shot in his hand. Just make sure that it's his weaker hand, the one that he doesn't use as often, because later on in the movie he's going to be, that was just a suggestion, he was going to be shooting or behind DeLuna's head with the gun as well. So just preserving it for later on in the scenes to make sure that we position him to get shot in his left hand, not the right, depending on if he's right or left-handed. Okay, so if you're following along on the script, page 63 on the bottom half, there's an altercation in that huge sequence from page 59 to 63, 64. There's a lot of scrambling going on. There's a lot happening, and I love that because it's so thick anyway that I'm just going to kind of, emphasize on certain techniques that I'd like to show, again, for the body of these characters. Now, there's an altercation between Riker and Ava where it says you're pounding on his chest. We spoke of it earlier. You agreed. I think that staying distant and somewhere in the script for, because Grady is in the room as well with all of them. He warns you, Ava, not to get close to him and to keep distance. There's a part where he pulls you off of Riker, and that's when he wakes you up to his skill set and staying away from him. And next time you go towards him to pound on his chest, instead of pounding on his chest, I do think that it should be a kick to the chest or something where you can keep the distance. Again, we can innovate as we go because I don't know what the exact situations are going to look like or exactly how much room we have and what we're working with. After realizing all of that on the spot, I'll be able to make it even more smooth. But this is just so that we get a bare minimum idea. Next altercation is on page 76 on the bottom half into 77 and 78 from so on. But follow me from there. Riker orders Drake to check on Grady. Now, this is their first altercation that I think they really have a chance to kind of go at it with each other. Grady's the one that's going to end up being on top of the situation, just like you asked in the script. And he goes to kick him 3 times. On the last kick, it's going to get caught. And Grady's going to use a special technique that I'll be explaining shortly. On that third one, I don't like it. I grab the leg and I control him for the De La Hiva sweep coming down. Controlling his hips, controlling his ankle. Then I scoop up on him, and we're fighting for the gun that he's got in his hand. I end up knocking that away, in which case that goes flying like it says to in the script. He comes up following me, muscling me off of him, and I'm leading him into what we call the guillotine choke. As I have him here inside the guillotine choke with one arm in, I can play with how tight I want this to be. See, if it's out here, it's very loose. If I put him under my belly, that's already hurting him. Okay? There's a lot of cradling that I can do, taking his back from here. There's a lot of really cool things that we could, on the spot, innovate. Again, you just tell me which direction you want to go with it. I'm giving you bare, vague ideas of what's possible to liven up the script a little bit. Okay, so he's pretty much having a conversation with Riker inside the room, and Riker's asking him to kind of nudge up, and this is when Drake gets exposed on being the murderer of Grady's daughter. There's also an altercation between Ava And Riker, when she tries to jump on his back briefly, I'll show you in person, it's very simple. He's just going to be kind of hip tossing you. You might either have to learn to take a break ball or we'll shoot it in segments. Following right along to page 87 on the bottom half is Ava and Riker's altercation, where Ava decides to go ahead and try and choke Riker with the rope that she's found. Now, it says in the script that he starts to wedge his fingers through before he starts to choke. Ava's very close up on him, using her body weight almost to make this happen. This is going to set up a hip toss, okay? Where I just stick Riker sticks his hip right outside and goes lunging you over the shoulder, in which case you would end up in front of him. You're gonna either learn to break fall, okay? For 2 scenes already, you might want to just invest a little bit of time in this. It'll be super easy, I promise. I'll show you to make it happen very fast for Ava, or we can shoot it in segments, but you end up on the floor in front of him after that rope hip toss, in order for him to get a little bit of space. Now, there's gonna be stuff that happens all throughout the scenes, but I'm concentrating more on the stuff that takes you off of the attention on what's happening when both either Carter's being sneaky on the side over there or Grady's being sneaky on the side over there. Some of them are double sequenced action shots. What I wanted to bring to life is what you actually emphasized on in the script, to take the attention off of what else is happening. So I just kind of fattened up some of these, I made them vivid. I'd say the most intricate parts of the whole script that I really wanted to zero in on, I've already covered. But there's another altercation on page 89 where, well, actually it starts on 88 on the bottom and gets into 89, where Ava stabs Riker with a knife. Of course, depending on the availability and how much room in the room, we'll be able to choreograph something very simple. It's just a stab against a wall where he comes up on you and surprisingly finds this knife inside him. I thought that was awesome, very sneaky, and the only way that Ava could really get the upper hand on someone as talented as Riker, because there was a lot of anger he was driven by, and he just ends up right on that knife. I think that's an awesome ending. Also at the end, where there's going to be some struggle between the Guns and DeLuna and Ava. We've got that pretty much taken care of. And at the end, again, because Grady got shot by you in his hand, let's make sure that's his left hand, because at the end he appears behind DeLuna with the gun. So let's not have his shooting hand injured. And that's pretty much it. That's all of the scuffles. Of course, a lot of details are left out. I'm trying to do the best I can on the spot so that you can just kind of get a bare idea and not be nervous about the fight scenes, because I got them. Thank you.